Good morning, Internet. We have a new session in which we are going to make up light yellow ochre, and we're going to make 4 ounces of it, and it's going to be dry mix. So we can do that, in fact, in our tin if we mix the dry ingredients first. And as you can see, this was our last idea of how to mix it. So it looks like 1, 2, 4, 2. So that means 1 to 2. And so we're going to mix it 1 to 2. And then add both the glycerin and the ox gall. We're going to do that because it's just the way I did it before, and I had no complaints. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So now I get my scooper here, and I'm going to put, let's see, that looks like 1 part of gum arabic. Two parts gum arabic. And 1 part pigment. So we get the light ochre. Okay, there we go. That's most of our ingredients without the glycerin, the other wet parts, and oxgall. So this is just the dry part. Mix up 1 tablespoon I'm mixing up the dry ingredients in the pot, my paint pot. See what happened. Don't breathe, don't inhale. See if that got mixed up. Wow. Looks like it mixed up. Okay, so cool. Now we put in the wet ingredients, which are, among others, the water. But let's put in the glycerin. And I have reordered a larger quantity of glycerin and another bag of the acacia gum arabic. And so we're completely out of glycerin. I think I ordered a 16-ounce bottle of it for $6, and this I got for $8, so 14 bucks. 14 bucks worth of 2 basic ingredients, gum arabic and glycerin, the 2 basic medium ingredients. So as you can see, that's a real fine powder. I think we need to let it down. let's see, instead of mixing up this in a cup, I'm mixing it right here in the paint pot, and it's a little slower mixing, but we don't lose very much of the medium and the pigment by doing this. And I can see it's going to be thick, and that's actually what I want, and it's going to be less transparent than my last mix, which was 1:4. And I believe at that time I was using teaspoons instead of tablespoons. I was using smaller containers. These little containers, you may prefer making smaller containers, and and it's up to you, but I just ran out in a matter of a few days because I found this was favorite. This light yellow ochre. I'm not. Daniel Smith probably does make it. Sometimes he doesn't use the name of the material, but usually he does, tries to, but I don't know if there is. He does have some exotic names, just too romantic to be believed. And I don't believe there are minerals called that. So you can see the acacia is absorbing the acacia Senegal, gum arabic, is absorbing the moisture and making our mix very thick. That's the main purpose of the main use. I don't think it's used in pigments, obviously, in making media, but I think its larger volume of use is in the culinary industry. And there are obviously substitutes, but in watercolor, I would say no. I mean, if we wanted a water-based media, obviously we could make oil paints with this, use some linseed oil and a number of other petroleum-based products, and make opaque paints. Now, this is pretty good, but I don't think it's completely mixed up. And sometimes when you pull the paint out of the can to your palette mixing area, you'll find little chunks. There's still little chunks of gum arabic. Okay, I'll tell you what, I am going to add the ox skull. It retards the drying and the absorption onto your paper. So we're going to what happened? What happened? I don't see the ox skull. here's the ox skull. Lifetime supply, because even when you're mixing paints, you put, well, if you follow Mike Chaplin's formula, just mere drops. So let's see, I'm going to put in a tenth of a milliliter. Not much. Tenth of a milliliter. You'd wonder how that could do anything. Maybe it won't. Here's another thing. If your paint isn't granulating, you can make it granulate. So I'm going to put, and this might be a disaster, but I'm going to put a half a milliliter of the mix that Winsor and Newton make, and that is the granulation media. So we can add all sorts of special effects to our mix, and I think you've got to mix that up really well. So instead of watching paint dry, we're gonna go away for a minute. So we're back, and I have thoroughly mixed the ox gall and the granulation medium into our mix. So, and I added some to a smaller container. Sometimes they're convenient, and you know, space requirements. In fact, I'm going to put away the large container and yeah, a large container, 4 ouncer, and here's my 1 ouncer. They say it's 20 milliliters, but I can get an ounce into it, which is like 30 milliliters. So I'm going to put my paints off to the side, and I might want to add another paint that we're going to use here, but I think we're good. So now we're going to put this on our palette. And the palette knives, that's a little pretty. I know when you're going to need a clean palette knife. That's some intensive. I just put it in a 5-gallon bucket, and it turned the whole bucket a different color. So, you get a lot of earth tones. Now, in the not too distant future, I'm also going to mix up the earth tones from Jacquard, and I'm starting to like the wet mix, only because it eliminates one step, I suppose. And let's clean this up a bit. And get ready for continuing the painting we had done for a turquoise mix. The turquoise mix in right here. And it was the Jacquard turquoise. Anyway, so I was here cleaning up. Let's get some of the brushes out of here. Not a brush. But who thinks it's a brush? And syringes. Here's the water. We're gonna move the mixing materials out of the way. Our mediums. Gonna go back here. Find the tapes. This is done. So let's just toss those. And so now we're going to go on to where we left off. And it was right here that we left off when we ran out of the ochre, the light yellow ochre. And now it's completely dry. This is 90-pound paper, but actually it's not bad. The one thing I like about it is if it does buckle, it buckles at the edges, and not that much. There's no big bubbles in the middle. And so that tells you that you could make your artwork smaller, tape it off, and have a border. Say a border that's 11 by 14, and then reduce that to by a half an inch. So instead of being 11 by 14, we'll make it half an inch on each side for a border. So anyway, 11 by 14, half an inch off of that is 10 by 13. So we could crop an area with a tape, 10 by 13, just tape it down, and it's not wet as it would be dry, and we can paint from there. And then we might not have any of the buckling on the edges, but I like to use the whole piece of paper, and hence that's why I often use 12 by 16 instead of 11 by 15 or 11 by 14. So let's get going. And first thing we're going to do is pull out my favorite brush. No. Pull out a too big too. Yep, that's my brush. It's as you can see, you could make a traveling set of these smaller tins. Okay, and this is dry on dry, and wet on dry, excuse me. And we don't have to be too fussy about this because it'll mix itself. And out of our coastline in California is filled with like a sandstone, but then of course every kind of geologic formation you can imagine going along Big Sur. And one of our test pictures will be from my trip to Northern California, San Francisco, and there we saw all sorts of coastline, and it's not all the same. So there, I've got just a little bit more. What I can do is layer these washes too. So I am quickly laying it down. I don't want the paper to, well, already be damp. I don't know how you could avoid if you put another glaze on top of what you've got. I guess we could just wait. I'm too impatient for that, so I am going to lay out my sandstone over my beach. And I'm going to leave some areas almost open because we're going to have a lifeguard shack here. And over here we are going to put some rocks. In fact, we could, while we're at it, let's, I want to do just a deep yellow. You can see this is like a commercial paint where you get a film on our intense, effervescent yellow. Add some more whole pot because of course it dried out and gotten denser. See what we've got here as far as the color. Okay, I think I need more real estate. So I'm going to move my intense. How come are we going to use that? And the place here. And umber here, and then well, actually we're umber. I'd like for you to see the color that we've got. So this corresponds with the lid does, and let's I think I've got too small a brush here. And, well, see if I want to put a sweeping wash on there in one fell swoop. But I want it to be intense. We got a little breeze kicking up, 80 degrees in Southern California, in Lake Forest. Let's try that. Okay, and then actually I want to put a few more drops over here. Hopefully it doesn't drip terribly. I guess I could leave it white, but no, I don't think so. Now let's let it drip this way. A lot quicker than geologic time. Huh. I was going to use that color mix anyway. And you do recall that we put granulation medium in the mix for the paint. So let's go back to here and let's so now we have something going here, and actually I want to see if we can get an edge, a painted edge of a dry edge here. And you can see where the paint wants to go, where it wants to go, which let the paint for you, don't steer it all over. And in fact we can hurry it up. And so you're watching paint dry. So we'll be back. We're back, and the painting has thoroughly dried, and we do have a lot of granulation going on with our new mix of light ochre, and so I guess we need to continue this on, and we'll mix up another a new batch of an earth tone that we're going to use, and other green tones. So, for now, that's the end of this session, and then we'll talk to you again. Au revoir, adios, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen, and ciao.